Your very existence is a battlefield, and your aura is the weapon they never saw coming. The greatest war isn't fought with fists, it's fought with presence. And you, chosen one, walk into a room and suddenly they're losing ground. They don't want to admit it, but your very being challenges everything they thought they knew. Your self-love becomes a mirror that exposes their insecurities. Your confidence? A storm that shakes their fragile foundations. Your mere presence is a silent reminder of what they could be, but aren't. They admire you in secret, envy you in silence, and fear you in ways they'll never confess. Before we dive deeper, hit that like button and subscribe. Because every time you engage, you're not just helping this video grow, you're sending a message to the universe and to YouTube that this truth needs to reach more chosen ones like you. More warriors walking with unseen power. And trust me, the more we gather, the harder we hit. Welcome, chosen ones. You already know this isn't about vanity. It's about power. Real, undeniable, unshakable power. The kind that turns heads, stops conversations, and leaves people fumbling for words. You think it's a coincidence when people freeze up around you? When they stare too long but say nothing? That's not random. That's intimidation wrapped in admiration. That's their spirit recognizing something higher. Most people drift through life unseen, but you radiate, and that glow? It's not just about looks, though let's be honest, you've got that too. It's about energy, presence. That rare, effortless magnetism that draws people in but keeps them cautious. It's a paradox. They crave you, but they can't handle you. They want your light, but it exposes everything they've buried in shadow. Let's talk about that self-love, because that's the real flex. You don't chase validation, you don't beg for attention, you're not waiting on anyone's approval. And that alone, that terrifies people. This world teaches love must be earned, suffered for. But you just are. You love yourself so deeply that it unsettles anyone who can't even face their own reflection. So don't be surprised when people act strange around you. When someone interested suddenly backs away. When you feel eyes watching, but no one speaks. They admire you, but they fear what you represent. A level of self-assurance they can't fake. A power they can't match. Some would rather stay silent than risk looking weak in front of you. Because here's the truth, your power haunts them. It stays with them, echoing long after you've left the room. It makes them question who they are. To them, you're not just a person, you're a revelation. A living reminder that there are levels to this, and not everyone is built for the top. Let's be real, some of your secret admirers are out here rehearsing conversations in their heads like it's opening night on Broadway. They imagine the perfect words, the perfect approach. But when they finally see you, all they manage is panic mode small talk. Nice weather today. That's fear, dressed up as casual. So buckle up, chosen ones. We're about to break this down. Why your energy is magnetic, why they're too scared to approach, and what this really means for your journey. And thank you. Yes, you, the force they can't ignore. Whether this is your first time here, or you've been riding with us from the start, know this. Your energy fuels this movement. If you're tired of second-guessing your power, if you're ready to own the truth that your presence shakes people to their core, smash that like button, subscribe, and drop number 88 in the comments. Because the universe takes notice when you claim your light. Now let's get into it, step by step. If you're a true chosen one, you'll feel it. That pull, that urge to stay till the end. Because this isn't just a video, it's recognition. Let's begin. When the universe picks a side, nothing can stop its momentum, especially when it chooses you. They thought they could bend the rules, hide in shadows, and rig the game. But the scales always balance, and you, chosen one, are that balance. They underestimated you, moved in secret, whispered behind closed doors, thinking their actions would go unnoticed. But the universe never forgets. And when it aligns with you, doors they tried to close swing wide open, and the people they turned against you are now drawn to you. Your energy isn't just power, it's a reckoning. It clears paths, commands attention, and exposes weakness without you saying a word. That's why they act strange around you, fumbling, avoiding eye contact, admiring you from a distance but never stepping closer. It's not because you're unapproachable, it's because they're not ready. Your presence is a mirror revealing their own lack of power and clarity. Those who carry their own light will recognize you instantly. No fear, just resonance. But those built on illusions feel exposed. You don't seek permission, you don't shrink. You expand. And the more you walk in your truth, the more the universe moves to support your rise. That's why blessings find you, why people can't stop thinking about you, and why your energy lingers long after you're gone. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to shift realities, and now those who once doubted you, they're watching in silence, haunted by the power they tried to deny. Deep down, they know you were never the one to be played with. They want you, but their fear screams louder than their desire. A lion doesn't chase mice, and a king never begs for loyalty. The weak hesitate in the presence of the powerful, not because they don't feel the pull, but because deep down they know. They're out of their league. They crave your energy, your presence, your light, but they won't step forward. Not because they don't want to, but because fear weighs heavier than longing. Your energy shifts the air before you even speak. It's rare, and rare things are never approached casually. They know being near you isn't just connection, it's exposure. You don't just hear words, you hear the truth under them. You don't just see people, you see through them. And that terrifies those who've hidden behind masks their whole life. They linger, overthinking every move. What if I say the wrong thing? What if they see I'm not enough? They spiral into silence. You're not intimidating, they're insecure. You never said they weren't worthy, but your certainty makes them question their own identity. You don't need validation. You already know who you are, and that kind of self-assurance shakes people who haven't found themselves yet. With you, the charm games don't work. The fake confidence, the practiced lines, all of it falls flat. You strip away illusions without trying, and they know it. That's why they avoid your gaze, study you from a distance, and admire without approach. It's not rejection they fear. It's being truly seen. Because in your presence, they can't pretend. And the truth is, they were never ready to stand next to someone like you. Your self-love is a rebellion, and it terrifies them. In a world that thrives on your insecurity, choosing to love yourself without apology is the ultimate act of defiance. From the moment you stopped seeking approval, you became untouchable. And the untouchable can't be controlled. Your confidence isn't just boldness, it's power. It's a silent war against a system that profits from doubt. Most people are stuck in cycles of needing to be liked, constantly chasing validation. But you broke free. You decided you were enough without waiting for permission. That shakes people. It's not arrogance. They're just seeing a mirror they're not ready to face. Because your presence reminds them of all the years they spent shrinking, compromising, molding themselves just to be accepted. You walk into a room owning your energy, not dimming your light, and they don't know how to handle it. They hesitate, they overthink, they judge. Not because you're intimidating, but because you refuse to make yourself small for their comfort. They've been conditioned to believe self-love has to be earned, that worthiness is something granted. But you proved that it's something claimed. That's why they label you too confident, hard to approach. But the truth is, you just won't lower yourself to fit their expectations. Your self-love is not a wall, it's a boundary. It doesn't say stay out, it says come correct, and they know it. That's why they study you in silence, unsure whether to fear you or admire you. So they do both, because deep down, they know you are what they wish they could be. They can't define you, and that's exactly why they can't forget you. Caged minds fear the ones who roam free. Those who live by labels, rules, and expectations look at you with a mix of awe and frustration because you refuse to be boxed in. Every time they think they've figured you out, you break the mold. You're strong but soft, kind yet sharp, mysterious but real. You're a walking contradiction, and they don't know what to do with that. Society craves predictability. It loves neat categories, but you slip right through. Are you confident or humble? Reserved or bold? Grounded or otherworldly? You're all of it and none of it. You're fluid, a force, not a label. And that shakes people who need control to feel safe. They obsess over you. Not just your words or your presence, but the feeling you leave behind. You're not wearing a persona. You're not trying to be mysterious. You just are. And that authenticity? It's rare, It's magnetic. It's why they can't stop thinking about you. Some will try to copy your energy, not realizing this isn't an act. It's your essence. That's why they keep coming back, replaying conversations, overanalyzing every moment. You challenge their idea of what power looks like. You are the paradox they can't solve. And in a world starving for certainty, that makes you unforgettable. When admiration turns to envy, the weak reveal themselves. They won't say they respect you, instead they'll mock, dismiss, or criticize what they secretly wish they had. Because to admit their admiration would mean facing their own insecurities, and most aren't ready for that. Not all envy looks like hate. Some of the people watching you closest aren't your enemies. They're just too proud to say, "You inspire me." So they roll their eyes, make slick comments, act unimpressed, pretending your presence doesn't shift the room, but you feel it. You notice how they mimic you, study your moves, echo your words. Deep down, they admire you. They just can't admit it. Why? Because admiration takes humility. It forces them to confront the parts of themselves they've neglected. So instead of praising your confidence, they say you're arrogant. Instead of celebrating your wins, they downplay them. But their criticism isn't about you. It's a mirror of their own lack. Jealousy is just admiration afraid to speak. It's easier for them to label you as too much than admit they feel like they're not enough. So don't be surprised when your loudest critics are your most obsessed watchers. Don't shrink for people who already know your worth but are too prideful to say it. They'll criticize you, but they'll never ignore you, because people don't obsess over what doesn't matter. And you, chosen one, you matter more than they'll ever admit. Your presence is a mirror, and some people can't handle their own reflection. A caged bird envies the one that flies, but not every bird has the courage to leave the cage, even when it's open. You don't just enter a room, you shift its energy. You reflect more than appearances. You reveal what's hidden beneath, their dreams, fears, and the potential they've been avoiding. People admire your confidence and self-assurance, but it unsettles them. You don't boast, you don't seek approval, you just are. And that alone challenges those still living in fear. You represent everything they could be, but haven't become. Your life exposes their excuses. You're proof that stepping into power means stepping out of fear, and not everyone is ready for that. They don't avoid you. They avoid what you reflect. Engaging with you means confronting their own potential and the fear holding them back. Some will use your presence as fuel to rise. Others will keep watching, admiring in silence, not because you're unapproachable, but because they're not ready to meet themselves. Your presence is a mirror, and not everyone is ready to face their own reflection. You don't speak to expose them. You simply exist, and that alone cracks the illusions they live behind. When you walk in, energy shifts, conversations slow, eyes glance, then quickly look away. You're not calling them out, but your confidence, your freedom, your authenticity quietly asks, "Why haven't you stepped into your own power?" For some, that's inspiring. You awaken something long buried, a reminder of their potential. For others, it's unbearable, because acknowledging your boldness means facing the truth that they've settled. So they distance themselves, dismiss your success, or act like you're just different. But deep down, they know you broke free. You didn't shrink to fit in. You built yourself from truth, not approval. And that kind of freedom forces people to examine the cages they chose to stay in. You're not here to make anyone comfortable. You're here to walk in truth, and the right ones will follow. When you're one of one, they can't help but stare. They've spent their lives blending in, chasing trends, and molding themselves to fit in. Then you show up unshaken, unbothered, real, and suddenly they realize they're forgettable, but you are not. Most people don't know who they are. They perform, they adapt, they chase validation. But you don't chase. You are. You don't change to fit the room shifts to match you. In a world of copies, you're the original. And while you're not loud about it, your presence holds weight. You don't need applause to know your worth. Your confidence isn't performance, it's truth. That's why they stare but stay silent. That's why they watch but never approach. You remind them of everything they're afraid to become. Free, real, untamed. And in a world drowning in filters and fake personas, the most powerful thing you can be is yourself. When power speaks, the weak call it intimidation. Like a lighthouse, you don't apologize for shining. You simply stand tall. They say you're too much, but what they really feel is respect they're too proud to admit. You don't shrink to make others comfortable. You move through life certain, unapologetic, and grounded, and that disrupts those who live off approval and fear. People hesitate around you. They fidget, their tone shifts, and they act defensive, not because you provoke them, but because your presence reveals their own insecurities. You don't have to speak for them to feel exposed. You represent what they wish they had: confidence without arrogance, boundaries without cruelty, and power without ego. And those who can't match it will label you instead of learning from you. But the right ones? They'll recognize you not as a threat, but as proof that self-mastery is possible. You're an unfinished story they can't stop reading. You don't overshare or seek attention. You hold space. Your mystery speaks louder than noise ever could. In a world where people reveal too much too soon, you reveal just enough to intrigue. That makes you unforgettable. They analyze your silence, replay your words, and wonder what you're not saying. You don't need to prove your worth. You let your presence speak for itself, and that's what keeps them hooked. You're not an open book. You're a story unfolding in layers. People don't just meet you, they experience you, and once they've felt your presence, they never forget it. Your wins are their wake-up call, yet some would rather stay asleep. The difference between you and them isn't luck, it's courage. You took the leap they were too afraid to make. And now your success is a mirror they can't avoid. They see you rising, hitting goals, moving with purpose, and becoming the person they once promised themselves they'd be someday. And that eats them alive. Because your wins don't just elevate you, they expose them. They highlight the hard truth. They could be doing it too. They just didn't. You didn't wait for the perfect moment. You didn't wait for permission. You didn't waste years telling yourself maybe next year, 10, or I'll start when things calm down. You got up. You showed up. You pushed through. You made it happen. You did what they swore they were about to do, and now every step you take forward challenges every excuse they've ever made. Your momentum reveals that their stagnation isn't because of bad luck or impossible odds. It's because they chose comfort over commitment. And let's be real, that truth stings. It's easier for them to admire you from a distance than to admit they could have been running beside you. That's why some will clap for you publicly, but resent you privately. They'll smile and say, "I'm proud of you," while silently battling the weight of their own self-doubt. Your wins make them confront their own losses, and some can't handle that. Don't be shocked when they start searching for ways to discredit you. They had it easier. If I had their opportunities, I'd be successful too. They just got lucky. But luck had nothing to do with it. You earned this. You put in the work. You sacrificed. You pushed through doubt, setbacks, and those long, lonely nights when it felt like nothing was working. You didn't just arrive, you fought your way here. And deep down, they know that. They just can't say it out loud, because doing so would mean acknowledging that they're capable of more, and that it was never really about circumstances, but choices. Some people don't actually want to succeed. They just want to believe they could have, if only life had been fairer, if only someone had helped, if only they had more time. These if-only excuses become their security blanket because the real truth is too heavy to hold. They chose not to try. But you are the truth. Your existence proves that the impossible can become possible. That dreams aren't out of reach, they're just out of effort, and that makes people uncomfortable because when they look at you, they don't just see what you've built, they see what they've wasted. And here's the thing, you never rubbed it in. You never had to call anyone out. Your very presence does that for you. Walking into a room confident, successful, and free is enough to shake people who know, deep down, they could have more, if only they moved like you do. Some people will be motivated by that. They'll see your wins and think if they can do it, so can I. They'll start taking notes, shifting their mindset, and using your example as fuel. Those are the ones who will grow. But others will get bitter. They'll feel exposed, not inspired. Instead of letting your success push them forward, they let it make them resentful. That's why some of your biggest admirers are silent. They're watching you, studying you, caught between being inspired and intimidated, because deep down they know they have no real excuse for being stuck. You'll notice it in how they move. Some will distance themselves because every interaction with you is a reminder of their own inaction. Others will throw passive-aggressive comments, hoping to pull you down so they don't have to face how far you've climbed. And a few will stay close, hoping your success will rub off on them, without doing any of the work themselves. Your success is a mirror. Some will look into it and see what's possible. Others will see what they've avoided. And the hardest truth of all? Some would rather shatter the mirror than face their reflection. But that's not your responsibility. You weren't sent here to dim your light so others feel better in the dark. You weren't meant to shrink into spaces you've outgrown. You didn't put in all this work just to pretend it was luck, just so others don't feel bad about not trying. So let them watch. Let them feel whatever they need to feel. Let them battle their own thoughts while you continue to rise. Because at the end of the day, their excuses won't slow you down. And your success? It's only just getting started. You are the proof they were lied to. They were told love had to be earned, that worth had to be proven, that validation had to come from someone else. And then you showed up, whole, unshaken, needing nothing. Suddenly, everything they believed started to crumble. While they were chasing approval, shrinking to fit expectations, waiting for someone to tell them they were enough. You figured it out. You cracked the code. You discovered the truth. Love isn't something to beg for. It's something you become. That alone makes you powerful. You don't move like them. You don't need what they need. While they're starving for attention, desperate for validation, endlessly seeking external reassurance, you are already full. And that shakes people to their core. Because the world taught them love is conditional. Something given in pieces, something you earn by playing small, staying quiet, fitting in. But here you are, standing in your truth, radiating self-worth, and showing them a new reality. It's unsettling. Because if you can love yourself without waiting for someone to choose you, what have they been doing all this time? Most people walk around feeling empty. They believe they need someone else to complete them. That's why they chase. That's why they mold themselves into whatever image they think will make them lovable. That's why they settle. But you don't chase. You don't beg. You don't shrink or compromise to be chosen. You don't need a relationship to feel valuable. You don't need approval to feel worthy. You are the love you need. And that's rare. They admire you for it. Oh, they do. But at the same time, they fear it. Because it exposes everything they've been avoiding. If love isn't something to chase, then why have they been running? If worth isn't something to prove, then what have they been trying so hard to earn? If validation isn't necessary, then what exactly have they been waiting for? That's why people act differently around you. They may not realize it, but something inside them shifts in your presence. The ones who are ready, who have been silently searching for truth, will feel liberated. They'll watch you, learn from you, align with your frequency. But the ones who aren't ready, the ones who've built their entire identity around being chosen and proving they're good enough for others, they'll feel threatened. They won't say it outright, but you'll feel it. The subtle jabs, the forced politeness, the way they try to minimize your confidence, or label you as too independent, too intimidating, or too much. But it's not because you are too much, it's because they know they can't match what you've become. Your self-sufficiency highlights their dependency. Your wholeness magnifies their fragmentation. They admire you, but they resent you too. Because you're living proof that happiness isn't granted, it's built from within. You don't follow the script they were handed. You don't play the game they were taught. And that challenges them in ways they're not ready for. Because if your way is real, if self-love is truly enough, then they have to admit they've wasted years chasing something that was always inside them. That's a hard truth to swallow. So don't be surprised when people try to discredit you. When they say things like, you're too picky, or everyone needs somebody, or you don't understand loneliness. It's not that they believe you're wrong. It's that they need you to be wrong. Because if you're right, then they have to face themselves. They have to admit they've spent their lives looking outward instead of inward. And not everyone is ready for that kind of accountability. But that's not your burden to carry. Your purpose isn't to convince anyone of anything. Your existence is the proof. Your presence is the permission. You are enough, whether they accept it or not. You've already shown the truth. And eventually, they'll have to face it. Because deep down, they know. They could be just as whole, just as strong, just as free. But to get there, they'd have to let go of the lies. And that battle, that's theirs to fight. So let them wrestle, let them project, let them admire from a distance. Your self-love is untouchable, and no one can take that from you. Your realness shakes their illusions, and that's why they fear you. In a world of performers, the one who refuses to wear a mask is the most dangerous of all. Most people hide behind fake confidence, scripted personalities, and carefully filtered versions of themselves. They change their words, their energy, even their entire identity just to fit in, to be accepted, to be liked. But not you. You walk in raw, unfiltered, unapologetic, and suddenly their entire world feels exposed. They've built their lives around the illusion of who they should be, playing roles, keeping up appearances, saying what sounds right. But when they see you standing tall in your truth, unapologetic and unshaken, it forces a question they've tried to avoid. Who am I when I'm not pretending? Your authenticity doesn't just make you stand out, it reveals. It makes others see themselves in a light they've never dared to. It's uncomfortable, even painful, for those who've spent years wearing masks. People don't wear those masks because they want to. They wear them because they're afraid. Afraid of rejection, afraid of judgment, afraid of not being enough. But when they see you living fully as yourself, fearless and free, it shatters the illusion that masks are necessary. You prove that being real is powerful, that you don't have to perform to be magnetic, that you don't have to pretend to be respected. And that kind of proof, visual, visceral proof, forces them to question everything they've built. Some will admire you for it. They'll see you as a guide, a spark, a permission slip to drop the act and begin living as their truest self. They'll feel your presence as a green light to stop hiding and start healing. But others, they won't know what to do with you. You'll be too raw, too honest, too real. Your very existence will feel like a threat to their carefully constructed image. They'll say you're too much, that you're doing too much. But it's not about you. It's about their fear. Your truth calls out their illusion. Your fearlessness exposes their fear, and deep down they know, if they get too close, their mask might crack. That's why some people pull away. Not because they dislike you, but because they aren't ready to face themselves. But that's not your responsibility. You weren't made to fit into a world built on pretense. You weren't sent here to tone it down so others can stay asleep. You came to wake people up, to show them that authenticity is more than just an option. It's power, it's freedom, it's truth. And whether they love you for it or fear you because of it, one thing's for sure, they'll never forget you. Because you didn't just show up, you shook something in them. Your presence disrupts the fake. Your energy exposes the lie. Your success forces reflection. Some will cheer, some will envy, some will go silent, watching from the shadows. But no matter what, they will feel you. That's all for today. Dear Father, I pray for the growth of my faith. Help me trust you even when physical evidence is lacking. Let me believe in your perpetual presence, knowing you will never harm me. I understand that your thoughts for me are thoughts of prosperity and not harm, to give me a good future. Thank you, gracious and eternal Father, for always listening to my voice. I offer up this prayer to you in the name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you, Jesus, for your love and provision. I am grateful for your presence in my life and the abundance you bring. If this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with those who need to hear this message. Leave a comment below about your journey and how you are preparing for your own triumphant return. If you'd like to support our work, please consider contributing through Buy Me a Coffee. This helps us continually improve our content to offer you the best. The link to Buy Me a Coffee is in the description. No gift is too small. Whether it's a penny, a prayer, or a share, your generosity helps spread God's word and brings hope to others. Don't stop here. Watch our next video for powerful revelations about the signs that reveal you are the chosen one. We've enjoyed following this spiritual journey with you. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Keep shining brightly and embrace your destiny with courage. See you next time. Blessings to all the beautiful souls from the Enlighten wisdom.